Okay, so last week I think we went through the first three moves, yes, in detail. So let's practice the first three move, and then I'll ask you a few questions to see whether you remember some of the stuff, right? Once more. Ran, let me see you do it.
Okay.
Good. Okay, two things. One, at the very beginning, and this, whenever you do this move, like, you know, in between Qigong moves or anything like that, when you do this move, bring the Qi into your Danshan. So it's not this. Right? Sometimes on the third one you do that, right? But you bring it into your Danshan and let it cook there for a while. Boom. 1, 2, 3. Right? So on the third one you can do that. And then on this move here, this should be parallel with your thigh. So you shouldn't be way behind your own thigh. Now, I think you were going behind your thigh, but who knows? It's a little funny when you're looking at stuff, right? Let me do this from the side here. Not like this, because you can see what happens, right, when you do it that way. And so parallel with your thigh. Okay, I'm just going to assume that you guys are remembering the Xinyi and the Neigong on this. Did I say last time we were going to work a little bit on the Neigong on this? I have a dim memory of that. What does that mean?
The third move, NEIGONG.
The Neigong on the third move. Okay. Well, say you're doing a move like this. This is going forward, all right? So that means something has to be going back. And it's not going to be higher, all right? It's going to be at the same level. So as this goes out in this direction, you also should be going out in the back. All right? It's going back. That makes sense? It's just, it's just physics. It's just the way things work. All right. So, boom. All right. Now you want to go down, and even if you do this very gently, all right. Even if you just do this like this, boom, which most people do, you still should be aware of these things, and there's still some movement of the energy. So remember, it's like our little hourglass here. The physical hourglass may not move, all right? The cage doesn't move, the glass doesn't move, but the sand does move. The energy does move in there. And so it's kind of the same thing. All right? So that kind of energy movement is called sinking. Right? Master Zhang would use the Chinese word song, right? Spelled S-O-N-G, just like a song, only it's song, right? More of a U. Right? Well, where are you sinking to? Well, it's always the same, no matter where you're sinking, no matter where you are in the form. When you sink, you can think of it as sinking into the dantian, which is true. All right, so they always say sink your chi into the dantian, but you can't forget the bottom of your feet. You also have to sink into the bottom of your feet. So when they say song, all right, sink to the bottom of your sink to the dantian, that's like a code. It doesn't mean just sink to the dantian. It also means sink into the ground energetically. All right, so all the way into the ground. Boom. That would be preparing you for this move. Boom, like that. Because just to do it physically without the energetic rooting is not necessarily very effective. You've got to sink your chi. Your mind moves first. Your chi moves second. Your physical body moves third. That's just the way it works. If you don't know that you're supposed to do something, then your mind will not move in that direction. When your mind does not move in that direction, your energy won't move in that direction either, and therefore your physical movement will either not be there or it will be sort of confused. In fact, it'll be very confused. Right? And that's actually the big problem I see with most North American Tai Chi classes, is they never talk about the Xinyi or the Neigong. And so there's never any mind or energy channels going on there, right? But here, right, even if you do it like this, you can't see anything on the outside. Because you're in a sense, you're skipping over the physical part of it, but you're not skipping over the mental or the energetic part. It's still, oh, in my mind, I'm sinking. Sink. 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 Right? Sink. Sink. Sometimes there's a big physical movement like with that, but it can also be where you can't even see it. Remember what both Master Feng and Master Zhang used to say: if I don't show you, you won't see it. You're just not going to see this. Someone who's a very, very good practitioner will sink their energy. You will not see it in their physical body. But trust me, they're sinking their energy into the ground, boom, and then they can move from that ground contact. Right? Does this make sense, Rand? Master Zhang, my teacher, used to say sink so often, right? And he would also use the phrase um, every movement all the way. What he meant was finish the movement. Don't get halfway through the movement and then run on to the next thing. This is why Tai Chi is done slowly, so that you have time to remember and to let your energy sink. All right. So it's been sinking. It's going to take another 12 minutes or so for all the sand to run down into the lower part of the glass there. All right. So what Master Zhang would say is, you wait. You wait until the sand has gone down. Now, I don't want to wait 15 minutes every time I got to sing, but all right, you train yourself to hear it. You can hear it. You can feel it. If you slow down and listen, you can feel it touch the ground. Okay, when it touches the ground, or you may even want to grow a root into the ground, right? But when you are in contact with the ground to your satisfaction, then it's time to move on, but not before. Yeah, Kevin.
I have a hard time wrapping my head around the one continuous flow of energy with the sinking to hit the ground. And it's that transition point to when you've hit the ground that you round off to the next movement versus skipping that you're talking about in my mind, something like that.
Okay, I'm not quite sure what you mean, but I'm going to take off on what I think you mean. That when it hits the ground, now the energy's down on the ground. How do I get it out here to do something else? Don't forget that the ground acts like a trampoline. We think of the ground as very hard, and it is physically, but energetically, you can put your mind into the ground. You can put your chi into the ground, not just down to the ground, but into the ground. So it's permeable. It's energetically, it's softer. The cement here is very hard. I don't want to fall over and hit my head on it. But energetically, it's like this. Annie's several months ago, 2, 3 months ago, Annie bought an indoor trampoline. It's about 40 inches wide, and right, so she's her legs have gotten incredibly strong on this trampoline. Right, it's the same thing. Right, it hits, it bounces up. It hits, it bounces up. This is not well, it is a Tai Chi principle, but it's actually a principle in physics. All right, go to Wikipedia and look up ground reaction force, and you'll get a page of physical diagrams and equations. This is how it works. It's how we walk. Right? The truth is, we use this all the time. We're just not aware of it. When you walk, you're pushing off against the ground, but the ground is pushing back into you. For every action, there must be an equal and opposite reaction. That's the ground reaction force. Yeah.
Yeah, from a physics point of view, I understand it completely because I visualize a point.
Yeah.
From a Tai Chi perspective, I'm trying to round that point off so there's not a stopping at the, and you know what I'm saying? That's where I am with my head. That's what I'm trying to, boy, words are hard.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are. You can get really trapped in words. So that's what I was just going to say. You can also get trapped in images. So an image that you might use rather than a point is a flow of water. There's a flood. There's like a flood of water going down, and then there's a flood coming back. Um, the channels in the body, the Renmai, the Du-mai, the Chong-mai, the Dai-mai. You notice they're all Mai. The word Mai in Chinese is used for a channel or a meridian. But where it comes from is an ocean tide coming up an estuary. In other words, it's a flood, right? So think of that Mai as just this flood of energy. Like, when you look at illustrations of the energy channels in a book for acupuncture, you're going to see lines. It's just a little skinny line, and then there's a skinny line that goes here. But that's not really what it is. What it is a flood going in that direction. They just use a line because otherwise you wouldn't be able to see anything. It would just be obscured, right? So don't think of this as a line going to a point so much as a flood moving in a certain direction and then it moves back. Does that help a little bit? Okay. All right. So, right? Boom. You're going to be pushing out the back, and then what happens? You have to sink. So first it's in your back, then it sinks to the ground. How does it do that? One of the things that happens with folks is, everybody, including me, is we forget our backs. We're so front oriented that we forget our back. But in fact, the energy goes back and then it comes down under your butt, right? And goes down your quad. Right? So it's coming under the butt, right? And then down the leg. Right? It's very smooth. Boom. And then it bounces back. So I don't know whether I tell you guys this or not, but I ran into something that Neil deGrasse Tyson said the other day. And anyway, I'll just repeat what he said. Everybody thinks that the ocean tides come in twice a day and they go out twice a day, right? He said that's not what happens. The tide does not come in and it does not go out. What's actually happening is the gravity of the sun and the moon cause the free water, which we call oceans, to assume a kind of oval shape. Now, it's only a few feet, but it's this oval shape. That oval shape doesn't really change. What happens is the Earth turns inside that oval. The sphere of the Earth turns inside that oval, so twice a day, and of course it's in one day, it's orbiting all 360 degrees. Twice a day, it's going to hit the fat part of the oval. Twice a day, it's going to hit the thin part of the oval. And that's what we think is the tide coming in and the tide going out. That's really interesting.
Yeah, that just split things.
Yes, exactly. And then he went on to say, it's just like our idea that the sun goes down in the evening and it comes up in the morning. And colloquially, naively, it's fine to say that. We all say that. All poetry, is rosy fingered dawn, right? Is always like that. But that's not what's happening. What's happening is not the sun isn't moving, the earth is moving, right? And it's exactly the same kind of thing. The truth is just the opposite of what you think it is. And yet, what you think it is a kind of truth. It's a certain level of truth. But a more sophisticated way of looking at it gets a little closer to the truth. So here's another one. Most people think the Earth orbits around the sun, right? Yeah, it's not true. The Earth and the sun both orbit around a certain point somewhere in between the two. Now, it so happens because of the size of the sun and the size compared to the Earth, that point is actually within the sun, but it's not the center of the sun. It's moved toward the Earth a certain degree. That one's a really interesting one. So if anybody ever asks you, does the Earth orbit the sun? You said, no. I forget, I'll have to look up, I forget what that point is called, but there's actually a name for that. And that's true for every one of the planets.
It's just turtles all the way down.
That's what it seems like. Okay, so the back, boom, the back. And then down, underneath and back, down the leg into the ground. And then join the hands together. When you join the hands together, how are you doing that? So what kind of energy is that? And what channel is it in? What channel is it in? Either one of you can answer.
Dynamite.
Dynamite. What energy is that? Pangmuji, you're on.
G. G.
G. G energy. All right. Now, when you're here in this G energy, where is your Chi in your body? All right. So it's been brought up and now concentrated. Boom. Now where is it? Yeah, the Tanjong. Now, you don't want to bring 100% of your Chi up into the Tanjong. If you do, you won't be able to breathe. But say you bring 50% up. All right? Now where's your Chi? Well, some of it better be out here. Boom. All right? But that means you have to be going out backwards between your shoulder blades. This hand is controlling, right? This hand is your leverage. Now, what's your Dan Shen doing? Some of this is a shoe circle. But when you actually press it in, what kind of circle is that?
Lee.
Yeah. Shu Li. There's actually some ping in there too. I would need somebody here, and I'm not going to get Annie, but if Matt or Adam were here, or Kevin, I could demonstrate this, right? This part is Shu, but the hand controls the other hand by grabbing the fingers and pulling them back. And by that I mean you're grabbing the fingers and pulling them back a little sideways. Right? That's a ping circle. All right, Shu, ping, li. All right. Now, you're not going to do all that when you do this move, but you should be thinking all that when you do this move. That's what a lot of people don't understand about Tai Chi is there are very, very complex Shin Yi and Neigong exercises going on where it seems like physically there's just not that much going on. It's very, very gentle, right? But mentally, you should be tracing out those, oh, down, boom, 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 boom. Otherwise, at least from the martial side, you're not getting any good practice in. Right? So that's that joint lock. And then so the first part of this, nobody does that. Nobody does this and then this. But that's what it is. So it may just be this. It's very gentle. You can think about hitting somebody in the eyes because that's what it is. Right? Or sometimes you could if you're less bloodthirsty, just think of coming up under their nose with the palm of the hand. Oh, oh, okay. You're going into the lower back. Lower back and then tangent. Let's see you do it, Rand. Not your elbow. This. Better. Better. Yes. Good. Now, we don't normally do Fa Jin in this form. But you can play with it a little bit. All right. But remember, somebody's coming up behind you and they're pushing. All right. When they push, don't resist them. Go with them. All right. So he's pushing you. All right. Just sink. One way to deal with a push, say from behind. He's going to be pushing you on the right shoulder, which means you're going to want to turn to the left. He's probably also, he's like this, and he's probably pushing like this. So you're going to want to go down. You're going to want to go with him to dissipate his energy, to steal his energy. You don't anticipate his push. You don't go ahead of his push. So you don't read the direction and go, okay, well, I'll go that direction, and you rush ahead of him. Let him push you so that he's giving you that energy. Steal the energy. Right? When you're stealing the energy, what do you do with it? This is a really important point. When he's pushing energy into you, what kind of energy is it? Kinetic or potential?
Kinetic.
Kinetic. All right? I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna pretend this is somebody, and I'm putting kinetic energy into this spring. Now, what kind of energy is in the spring?
Potential.
Boom. What kind is it now, or was it now? Turns back into kinetic. All right. So you have to learn to take kinetic energy attacks and turn them into potential energy. All right. So you don't fight it. No, you can't push me. No, don't do that. Just let him wind you up. And then you learn to wind up and then just suddenly release it like you just let go of that spring. It's exactly the same thing. Does this make sense?
Yeah, partially he's going to be pulling back because he's at the end of his balance.
When does your counterattack come?
As he's pulling back.
At the second, the moment, the hundredth of a second that you feel him start to change from yang to yin, that's when your counterattack comes. So you have to be able to hear this energy, which is a metaphor. You have to be conscious of it. How do you become conscious of reading someone's energy like that? Well, through experience. Everybody can do it. All right. So he's pushing on me. Oh, I just begin to sink, right? I sink so far, he's going to stretch out, and at some point, he's going to start pulling back. Oh, when he pulls back, that's when you clobber him, right? So that's a really important general principle. We don't do push hands, which is kind of a shame, but it's just the way it is. But there's still one class you can participate in that will help you with that, because it'll help you with a couple of things. And that's the Sunday morning class, the Sunday morning Qigong class. It will allow you to become quiet inside, and if you're not quiet inside, you can't hear energy. It will allow you to practice your reverse yogic breathing, which helps maintain quiet in the body. And then it will help you feel your own energy moving. You're listening to your own energy. If you can hear your own energy, then you'll be able to hear other people's. If you can't hear your own energy, you're never going to hear anybody else's. Right? So now, all right, energies comes up and out the elbow. Before it was going out the end of the fingers. Now it's the elbow. Now you got to lower the energy again. All right? And where are you lowering it to? The back of the Dan Chen, the Ming Men again. This is a reverse Qigong. So if you try to do reverse Qigong when your energy's up in your chest, it isn't going to work. You have to sink it into your Ming Men and your Dan Chen, and then use your Mingmen, Dantian, and Daimai. And it's sinking. It's turning, but it's also sinking into the ground. If this were a forward Qigong, then you would bring your weight forward into this hand. Boom. But this is a reverse Qigong, so you put some weight in this hand, but most of the weight goes in this hand. Boom. Right? Make sense? So now, oh, all your chi's down here. Now, another guy's attacking you from in front, and he's coming like for your neck or your shoulders or something like that. So now you got to bring the energy from there up into your Tanzhong. And now you can think of your center line as the edge of an axe, right? It's an axe head is a big wedge, and you have a thin, sharp blade to that, right? Where the whole wedge narrows down to this blade. This is the blade, is your center line. You're going to stick that blade right in between his arms. Right? And then you're going to bring your shoulders in. Now, often you can't bring both shoulders in because he's too narrow, right? So what you do is you bring one shoulder in and then the other shoulder in, right? Like this. And then you bring your chi up into your Tanzhong, and then your shoulders, and then your elbows, and then your wrists, and then your fingers. So the whole arm is rolling like this. That's a perfect example of silk reeling, because what are you really doing, right? You're rolling in a spiral through the whole arm. So it's not that you are using muscle so much as you're kind of using the geometry of this. Boom. And when you're done, you're probably holding him by the upper arms, but it might even be out at the wrist. And you're not really holding, you're not grabbing and holding like this. You're just sort of surrounding him. Right? This knee comes up. Right? Now you can pull him down. Pong, Lu, on. And when you go on, boom, you come up into maybe his chest. If you can pull him down a long way and you're still young and limber, right, even up into his face. Boom. Right? And then you immediately drop into Qigong. This Qigong is on the left side. So when you do Qigong, you're either forward or backward. You always use the qua, the red one on the right side and the blue one on the left side, right? So if I'm doing it on the left side, I'm using the part of the body that's just to the left of the central channel, right? You're using your weight. This is twisting. It's twisting down the leg like big spirals. Or on this side. If it's reverse, still the same thing. It's not in the center. So, elbow, daimai. That's just purely a whip. Only it's your elbow you're using instead of the whip itself. Again, you won't see much. Watch this hand. Another forward shinai. Forward shinai on this side. Elbow, forward shinai on the other side. Now in the red. First on the blue, the qua, elbow, now in the red. Make sense? Questions? It's too bad we can't do a little push hands. It'd be fun. Okay, guys. Annie's calling me for lunch. You guys have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow. We'll go on with move number 4.